This is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Since 1966, your source for state and national agribusiness news and features for farmers and consumers about Georgia's #1 industry, agriculture. The Farm Monitor is produced by the state's largest general farm organization, the Georgia Farm Bureau. Now, here are your hosts, Ray DeLessio and Kenny Burgamy.
Yes, your one-stop Christmas shopping for everything and anything ag. So glad you tuned into another edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor. I'm Ray DeLessio.
And I'm Kenny Burgamy. If you're looking to buy me or Ray a gift, well, a simple card will do, no ties. No, just kidding. We like ties.
I could use some ties.
Welcome to the show. Happy to have you along for the next 30 minutes. Coming up on the program, the Tift County School District gets an early Christmas gift from the USDA. See how it plans to build on its current efforts to provide ag and nutrition programs to students. Also, Georgia's Berry College, named one of the top 5 most beautifully landscaped colleges in the South. See where they finished and the competition they were up against.
And then later, as UGA researchers enter their 3rd year of studying Georgia black bears, what have they learned? And just how many black bears are there here in Georgia? These stories and more starting right now on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, as we all know, Georgia farmers depend heavily on good crop rotation plans to keep their farms thriving. Usually, producers rotate the same crops year after year. However, there may be a new crop to consider. Sesame seeds. They're now being grown in Georgia commercially, and they may be coming to a farm near you. The Monitor's Mark Wildman explains.
In Lawrence County, Rodney Martin is unloading his just harvested crop at the local buying point. This crop is not your typical Georgia crop. It's sesame seed, and it's starting to be planted on farms around the state. The crop is only in its 2nd year on farms in Georgia, but has performed well under some very adverse conditions.
I felt like compared to other crops, my sesame grew in what I would consider extreme drought, and I had soybeans next to it that I didn't harvest at all.
Sesame is not a new crop to Georgia. It was grown here decades ago, mostly to attract doves to an area. But now, thanks to advancements in seed development, the crop can be machine harvested and planted on farms to be sold on the market. Jimmy Brewer of Southland Seed Company believes there is a future in Georgia for this crop.
In southwest Georgia, we used to grow peanuts, corn, cotton, and then we'd try and have a grass crop for a rotation. I think sesame will help us quite a bit for a rotational crop on a basis of having rotation for your fields, mainly to help you get rid of your nematodes.
This year, the Georgia crop is coming in at a very high quality, and the grain bins are getting full.
We've already brought in more sesame already than we had totally last year.
The company that owns the sesame seed is Sesico, and right now, if a grower wants to plant the crop, they do so under contract with Sesico through its sister company, AgRex. Chris Bacon handles sesame for AgRex.
We will line up contracts as far as contacting growers, or some growers will call us and ask about sesame. And we will send them a marketing agreement. It's similar to peanuts. You sign up a certain amount of acres, not necessarily a certain amount of production. And you lock in your price right then and there per pound, or the contract states per 100 pounds.
One of the many obstacles in getting a new crop established is teaching producers the benefits of the crop. Ben Ingram is a farmer and consultant assisting farmers with growing sesame. He believes the crop has a place in the entire Southeast.
It is a good double crop. It is a very good dry land crop. Since it is very resistant to drought and heat, actually it performs better in both of those applications where you may not have that in other crops. Like I said, is a good option where you may plant late soybeans or something behind your wheat, and if it turns off dry, you usually don't produce a crop. But with the sesame, if you go in and get it planted behind the wheat, then you have the potential of making a decent profit off of that crop because of its low inputs.
As the seasons go by, producers will learn the do's and don'ts of this crop. But one lesson they have learned early is hogs and deer do not have a taste for it.
This sesame that I did grow this year, I didn't see any deer damage, and I know there's pressure from deer on that farm as well, and they didn't seem to bother it at all.
If the crop can be a proven success in Georgia, you may very well find the sesame you eat on your hamburger bun is not from overseas, but grown right here in Georgia. For the Georgia Farm Monitor, I'm Mark Wildman.
Great job. Thank you very much, Mark. In other ag news now, thanks to USDA, the Tift County School District has plenty of reasons to be jolly this holiday season. As part of a grant project spanning 42 states, Tift County will be getting close to $40,000 to expand their current ag efforts. Proposed activities include retrofitting a school bus to serve as a farm bus rolling classroom, retrofitting a canning plant to preserve local tomatoes, and irrigating the school farm to expand the growing season and increase yield. Meantime, how's this for an honor? Berry College in Rome, Georgia, named the #1 best landscape college in the South by LawnStarter.com. The criteria used for ranking the schools included the amount of green space on campus, uniqueness of landscape installations, and the attention given to lawns and landscapes on the campus. UGA, by the way, finished third, rounding out the top 5, Southern Methodist, Florida State, and Rice University. Meantime, a few Christmases ago, we took you to one Georgia greenhouse that has been raising poinsettias since 1978.
Yeah, this year, Ray, we decided to drive to Glenwood and visit the Wyndham family again.
The colorful poinsettia, the plant you'll most often see around this season of the year. And Troy Wyndham told me they grow a large variety of the plants.
Really, the process starts with buying a good plant. You buy a healthy plant, a plant that looks vigorous, it's got strong leaves, it's got strong stems, none of the leaves look saggy. And the blooms, let's see if I can give you an example here. See, these blooms haven't opened up yet. People think the flower is the actual colored part. It's not, that's the bract. The bloom, the flower per se, is this part right here. And you want to buy the plant whenever it's tight or yellow. If you don't see any yellow right there in the middle of the bract, then it is it's probably bloomed out and the plant's on its way down.
For a little over 35 years, the Wyndhams have been a major supplier for a number of nurseries, garden centers, churches, and organizations around Central Georgia.
Yeah, that's our standard poinsettia crop. The numbers don't differentiate too much year to year. Most of this crop will leave here and either go to a church, independent garden center, or florist. Our church business has increased dramatically, so we sell a lot to them. Folks can go into a Home Depot or Lowe's and buy a poinsettia pretty cheaper than we're able to sell them and grow them ourselves. But a lot of times they're selling those as loss leaders, or and the mass market, their efficiencies allow them to produce more plants, even though they're probably not as quality as you get from an independent grower like us that aren't tied in with big box stores.
While we see the beautiful finished product during the month of December, it takes several months to get the plants raised, then marketed, shipped, all for a 5-week selling period.
Well, this process doesn't start on November 1st. It starts back in July, and we get in cuttings. The plants are actually their parent plants are from Costa Rica or Central America, and they're cut and they don't have roots on them, but they're shipped over to places like Davis Floral or up in Dewey Rose or Knox down in Orlando as unrooted cuttings. From there, those guys who specialize in small plants root them out into little plugs that have roots on them. And so that's where guys like us, finishing growers, buy the little plugs, and then we pot them up into the finished pot and grow them out.
While at the greenhouses, another plant popular for seasonal decorating caught my eye.
Yeah, Norfolk pines. The Norfolk pines, big popular, looks kind of like a miniature Christmas tree. So we bring those in from Apopka, Florida, which is the foliage capital of the world, down around Orlando. We broker in a lot of foliage. It's part of our business, and so we bring a ton of these Norfolk pines in, and they sell good during Christmas. People use them as an interior, kind of short, 2-3 foot Christmas tree to put around a table, side table kind of deal, and it's cute to have around the house.
Well, right now it's crunch time for Troy and his family as they're delivering plants to Macon, to Savannah, and a number of counties in between.
Well, up next on the Monitor, Damon Jones takes us inside the Georgia FFA organization.
And then later, now in its 3rd year, the UGA Black Bear Sustainability Project is uncovering some incredible data. What researchers are learning about the bear's behavior patterns and what's being done to protect their future. Again, that's coming up later in the show. Stay with us.
The 2014 U.S. Capitol Christmas tree rolled onto Capitol Hill after a cross-country journey from the Chippewa National Forest in Minnesota.
So we cut this tree on October 29th, and then we took 3 days to wrap it up and package it up. and it started its trip on November 2nd. And we've been traveling constantly since then, stopping at different communities. And here we are today.
There were many challenges getting the tree to D.C., one that is quite familiar to folks who bring home live trees.
The first thing that came to my mind was, how am I going to keep needles on this tree for all that time? And what we did is we have a canvas bag on the butt end of the tree that we could fill with water.
Besides trees, hollies and poinsettias are popular holiday plants. A lot of USDA Agricultural Research Service effort has gone into making those plants the holiday favorites we know today. As for hollies, ARS has a long history with making the plant more year-round consumer-friendly.
We had the largest collection of hollies in the United States, a historic collection, and so we were able to educate the nurserymen and homeowners into the diversity that is available in hollies and really broaden the gene pool of what's used in the industry.
And that gene pool has been broadened so that new holiday varieties burst with color.
One of our best introductions is Sparkleberry, which is a deciduous holly which combines traits from a Japanese species and a North American species. And the hybrid has a greater show of fruit, and they're displayed very well on the branches.
And while these days hollies are associated with Christmas, Olson says their holiday associations predate Christmas, going back to winter solstice celebrations.
Again, that was Susan Carter reporting. Susan, thank you very much. Well, each year, thousands of FFA students from all over Georgia get the opportunity to attend the National Convention thanks to the support from the Georgia FFA Foundation.
Damon Jones tells us why this organization is so important to the ag industry and how you can get involved.
With agriculture being Georgia's #1 industry, it's no surprise that the state is always well represented in competition at each national FFA convention. And a big reason why so many kids are able to make the trip is due to the financial support provided by the Georgia FFA Foundation since 1990.
What we do at the foundation is we raise money to support our students that compete in over 130 award programs that cover all areas of agriculture. And so when our students win at state, we want them to have the opportunity to represent Georgia at national competition, which is held during the National FFA Convention.
And that type of presence has really shined a spotlight on the state and the strength of its FFA program, as they not only brought home just the third national FFA president from Georgia, Andy Paul, but also a number of other award winners.
Well, I think it just shows them, you know, that agriculture is vibrant in all areas of the United States, and it gives them the opportunity to meet students from other states that maybe live in farms or don't live on farms, live in suburban areas like some of our students do, and it just kind of opens their eyes to the opportunities in agriculture.
However, it's not just the competition these students get to experience thanks to the foundation, but also a chance to broaden their horizons by meeting others from all over the country.
Georgia had 15 national winners, and so it was great to have that many students go and come home as national FFA winners. I mean, that's quite an honor when you've got over 500,000 kids in FFA across the nation, and we brought home 15 national winners.
And with those awards and experiences, it's easy to see how much the foundation has impacted the lives of tens of thousands of students over the past 25 years. And that's why contributions from companies like Nuts and Bolts Clothing, started up by recent Georgia Southern grad Megan Williams, is so important.
I knew that I wanted to do something to help promote a cause that I believe in. And I knew right away that that needed to be agriculture. My family farms, they farm my whole life, and it's just something, it's part of my lifestyle, it's what I'm passionate about.
Selling everything from hats to t-shirts to even dog collars at their website www.nutsandbolts.com, William gives 10% of the proceeds back to the foundation. It's a cause she believes is essential to the future of the industry.
It's to promote ag education, promote agriculture, and even in our area, there are children who are not exposed to agriculture. And it could be, you know, up to the FFA advisors and teachers to instill that passion in students, in the younger generations, and equip them with what they need to pursue agriculture or farming as a career if that's what they choose.
As for other individuals that would like to get involved, they can visit the website www.georgiaffafoundation.org to make donations. It's an investment that will help not only promote Georgia agriculture, but also create a more rounded FFA student.
Well, FFA members are the future of agriculture, and they're the future of Georgia. And what I like to say about our FFA members is we know that not all of them are going to be farmers. Maybe not all of them are going to work in the ag industry, but they are going to learn about agriculture. They're going to learn where their food and fiber comes from. And they're also going to be consumers of our products, and they're going to be voting on issues that affect agriculture.
Reporting from Swainsboro, I'm Damon Jones for the Georgia Farm Monitor.
All right, Damon, great job, sir. Just a reminder, if you missed any part of this story or others on today's program, you can still see them in their entirety at our YouTube channel. That is the Georgia Farm Monitor. Once there, you can browse the archive of stories dating as far back as 2009.
And once you're done watching all those informative stories, keep clicking and like the Georgia Farm Monitor Facebook page that we set up for you. If you have a story idea, or if you just want to leave us a message, a comment, or suggestion, feel free to send us a message either on Facebook or at the address listed below. That is news@farm-monitor.com. Well, meantime, the New York Farm Bureau reaching out to farmers after last month's record snowstorm that damaged a number of farms in that state. Michael Clements has more.
The diverse agriculture in New York took a blow last month when a massive storm dumped record snowfall in portions of the state. New York Farm Bureau President Dean Norton says organizations across the state came together to help farmers with any damage they found immediately after the storm. Norton says the largest concern is making sure that farmers who were affected by the loss of structures, animals, and crops have the help they need.
The first thing that we did was make sure that we were in contact with the folks from New York State Department of Agricultural Markets and the Department of Environmental Conservation. A lot of organizations were working together, making sure that someone was in need, that they could reach out to that organization so that there was resources available to help them.
Producers found damaged buildings to loss of livestock following the storm. Norton says Farm Bureau was ready to help those farmers move forward.
For those individuals that lost freestyle barns, we were looking to help them find places that they could put these animals while they rebuilt, or if there was death loss, we were making sure that the state vet was in consultation with all the rendering facilities in the area, making sure that they were open for business and that those animals could be disposed of properly.
Transportation became an issue as well for dairy farmers. Some farms had to dump their milk because trucks couldn't make it to the farm.
In the long term, we're going to be looking for disaster declaration and assistance from USDA for those growers and farmers that were affected, and then working to make sure that we can get those farmers back up in an operation as quick as possible.
New York has a large fruit and vegetable specialty crop industry and is number 2 in animals in the country alongside row crop production and dairy. Michael Clements, Washington.
Up next on the Monitor, how the holidays and agritourism are often the perfect match.
Also, hear what one UGA researcher said he was surprised to learn of during an ongoing study of black bears right here in Middle Georgia. That's next when the Monitor continues.
Framed against the backdrop of Buffalo Mountain, the Ayers tree orchard spans several acres. Here the owners do the outdoor type of holiday tree trimming, getting ready for the customers. This Choose and Cut Farm is Tennessee's largest Christmas tree operation, with 200,000 trees and 9 species of firs and spruce. But it's more than just the selection here, it's the experience.
Folks, especially with young children, they love to bring the kids out and roam around and select a tree, and then they have the option of cutting it down if they can get it down with those little buck saws.
The Ayers grow trees here in Carter County, Tennessee, and across the border in North Carolina. The family's been doing this for more than 50 years, and in 1993, they grew the White House Christmas tree. Add to that the honor of 3 straight holiday trees for the Tennessee Governor's Mansion, and you get a sense of the quality they produce here. This area is big in the nursery business, and while producers must deal with a mountainous terrain, 1,500 feet of elevation, the soil here is rich.
This soil here grows a good quality tree. It's not a heavy clay soil. It's a mixture of sand and some black organic soil.
Carter County UT Extension Director Keith Hart praises the Ayers for their business plan and management practices and says this is a perfect operation for this area.
but they have taken agro-tourism to a different level. And they have the wreaths here, they have the choose and cut operation. The quality of the tree down here on certain sites is extremely good. It's been very productive. There's good parking. It blends in beautifully with the Christmas season as far as the restaurant here.
That's the other side of the family business. The Ayers converted this cantilever barn, built in the 1830s, into a log cabin restaurant, now open on weekends.
Yeah, they love the atmosphere. The setting is pretty intriguing to a lot of folks.
So if you're tree hunting or hungry from tree hunting, the Ayers Farm has you covered. The holidays and Upper East Tennessee agriculture are a merry mix. This is Chuck Denny reporting.
All right, Chuck, great job as always. In the other news, in 2012, researchers at UGA started a study that focused on an isolated population of black bears affected by such things as development, traffic, and hunters.
Yeah, and Kenny, their focus was mainly in the Middle Georgia area, in particular a 15-mile stretch of Highway 96 that is currently undergoing a massive expansion project. Recently, I sat down with Dr. Mike Chamberlain, a UGA professor of wildlife ecology, who tells me that the study is going better than expected.
This project has been, from a researcher's perspective, has gone almost flawlessly.
And also money well spent, considering the research team was awarded nearly $800,000 in state and federal grants to determine such things as the size of the bear population in Middle Georgia, as well as survival rates. Early estimates had that population number at around 300 black bears.
The 300 number came from a previous study that came up with a density estimate and then extrapolated based on the area that they thought bears occupied down there. Our estimate is more confined to the area around the Highway 96 corridor and Okie Woods and Okmulgee wildlife management areas. And our estimate was closer to 160 as of this past year. Basically, the project is set up in two phases in essence. One phase is focused on capturing and radio marking bears, and that's specifically associated with the DOT expansion project. And what we do there is we use foot snares to capture bears in the summer. We outfit those bears with global positioning system collars. It has a GPS chip in the collar. And those collars upload locations through email to our researchers, my field staff, who are then able to real-time understand where those animals are in relation to that highway corridor.
Part of the State Road 96 expansion includes special bridges similar to these that would allow the bears and any other wildlife to cross under the road instead of over it. According to DOT records, 10 of the 20 confirmed black bears killed by vehicles in Georgia between 2003 and 2009 happened along Highway 96. According to Chamberlain, the expansion project seems to be already working in the bears' favor.
Bears at this point are not crossing Highway 96 that frequently. They walk up to this very wide corridor that's now present as they're expanding the highway, and they're hesitant to walk across that highway. Whereas these secondary roads, these two-lane county roads, the forest comes all the way up to the edge of the road, so they feel much more comfortable crossing the road. And our speculation is that as DOT places these underpasses under the highway, the bears may actually become more comfortable in crossing the road because they're not being asked to look out across a right-of-way and cross above the road. They can actually see under the road and will be able to cross that way.
A person with the Georgia DOT tells me those bridges will be located right here in Twiggs County. Now, the original plan called for somewhere in the neighborhood of 6 bridges. However, Dr. Chamberlain says that number could change.
We're working with DOT now. They've provided us with the planned underpasses, and now we're taking our telemetry data from our bears, the GPS collar data, and overlaying it to try to better understand whether they need all of the underpasses, whether they need to alter the location of some of the underpasses, or whether some of the bridges that they've planned will suffice as an underpass. So that's what we're actually doing right now.
Hey, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Now, here's a reminder for all the latest ag info regarding food, great recipes, and what's happening down on the farm in people's houses, too. Be sure and check out our Twitter, Facebook, and Pinterest pages. You'll stay informed and see what's up in the world of farming and this Farm Monitor show.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week right here on the Georgia Farm Monitor.
Have a great week.